Hey guys, welcome back to the Ride Right Waxing and UK One Wheel channel. Right, it is Baltic in my garage, but I am back on the Mini, and the reason for that is I've got a couple of bits that have turned up which I've been waiting quite a long time for on the pedal box. So, competition brakes, direct fitment, not. Basically, servos come off the front of this pedal box, which is here. I bought this online and they said it's a direct fitment for classic minis. Sadly, it is not a direct replacement. Something that I think that is quite misleading. However, it is very well made, I will say that. And they say they sell loads and loads and loads of them. It looks like a Citroen one, come a Ford one. But what I've had made is these little spacers. So we've got a piece of metal we've had engineered down. I'll pop all the dimensions on. These are 16 millimeters long, plus we're going to have a metal plate, which we're going to weld onto the back of here, like so. And then what we're going to do is weld the plate in the car so I can remove the pedal box. So I can bolt the pedal box in and out, if need be. And obviously that is going to space it. So 22 mil in total from the back of the pedal box to the actual bulkhead of the car. Because the wheel arch comes out, and I will show you a little bit later on in the episode, it hits all of this mechanism here. So the actual pedal box sits wonky if you try and get it in. And they say it's a direct fitment. Like I say, it is just not a direct fitment. They say you can weld some brackets in. Well, if you've got to weld brackets in, it's not a direct fitment, isn't it? A direct replacement. So yeah, so that was a bit of a pain. So this is what I've had made. So we've measured it all out. I've had these laid down. We've had a 10 mil metric thread inside. And these just basically screw on, screw off. I've just got a temporary bolt in there. If I just take that off, that is pretty much all it is. We're going to weld that to a plate and weld the plate into the car. So that's coming on in this episode. So do stay tuned for that. My Setrab oil cooler, which is just here, which I got from Hell Performance, which is awesome, which is just there. I'm actually going to mount that to the inner wing. So what I'm going to do now tonight is I've got some welding to do tomorrow on the steering rack, etc. I've got to dry fit all the steering rack, steering column, and then I can obviously get all my brackets in place so I can actually weld everything in, and also I can then fit the pedal box because I know where that is, so it's not going to foul on the steering column going down, obviously from the top mounting bracket. I'm going to cut this hole out. Now what I've actually gone and done, let's pop you in my hand and I'll show you. My garage is an absolute mess at the moment. It's so cold to get out here. Bulkheads come up lovely. Let me just put that down there so that doesn't fall over. Got a couple of holes just to weld up here and here. I've got some filling to do just to kind of tidy everything up, and I've got a lot of sanding to do before. But we've got all of this down here now. Again, this was 40 odd years of just grime. We have literally took this back to bare metal. We have rust treated it, acetoned it. I'm going to put some seam sealer on and around in certain places, which is cool. But that's where the inner wing's going to go. Now, the whole idea of this is to mount the oil cooler on the side. I've seen a lot of them mounted here, down here. I quite like this area. It's quite a void area. You've got the bell housing of the clutch, which is here. And then I'm going to try and get Carbon Weasel. And if Ben watches this at Carbon Weasel, I want to get, once the engine's in, a carbon air scoop that comes around and fits just to the front of the the oil cooler. So the air will come in the front, so it's kind of forced induction. I've got this massive hole here, which I've always hated, because obviously that's where the original heater's gone in and goes up in the inner wing and into the heater box. Taking the heater out completely, don't need this hole, so I can hide this hole. So if I cut this square, that square is a direct shape of this area just here. And then what I can do is use these mounting brackets. I've got a bit of steel over here, which I'm going to cut down and weld to the other side of the inner wing to give it its strength. So they've got plenty of strength there still. And then we can bolt the oil cooler, and then we can have the oil cooler hoses coming off. And I think it'll look quite trick. So that's the idea. We're going to weld up these holes and tidy those up tomorrow. Again, got to cut this off. and then refabricate something to go on there, which I'm going to do with the steel that I've got, because that's just a mess. So we're going to tidy that up. So yeah, so we're going to pen this hole out and cut it out and just make sure it's all gravy. So I'm going to pop you on time lapse. There's going to be a lot of measuring and, as I say, measure twice, cut once. So that's the state of play, basically. I say a bit of welding tomorrow. I'm going to fabricate a bracket there, but more importantly, just inside, we've got the hole now all welded up. I've got to re-drill the hole for the gear lever, the gear selector rod to go through, but we've got the steering column over there and the Go Race inner shaft, which is there. That obviously is totally stout now. That is not going anywhere. Battery box is in. I don't know if I should weld that in permanently. I might do for a bit more strength, and I'm going to put another tray in over here. Not quite as big as this one, you can't really see, but we've got a tray there, and I'm going to put some sound deadening on that so it doesn't vibrate. So I might pop another little tray. That little hole you see over there is for the wiring, which is going to go into the inner wing, and that's where the air intake would normally come in. And then we're going to Gravitex all this and clean it all up and paint it. So there we go. We're getting there, slowly. Slowly. My cat has doubtfully destroyed all my plastics. One bad little accident, had a bit of a blim burn on my scuttle panel, which is just there, which is a shame. So I think what I'll have to do is get the whole scuttle panel painted. Nature of it, really. But yeah, garage is an absolute mess. Got seats, bits, grinders, subframes over there all built, spin bike. That's where I do all my waxing. So yeah, there we go. That's the plan of attack. So let's pop you in the stand. I've rabbled on 7 minutes. Let's crack on and cut this out. So there we go. If you ever want to take one of these off, 4 pot rivets, or spot welds, sorry. 1, which would normally be there, 2, 3, 4. But look at the rust behind that. I would have never known that was there. So yeah, I'm glad I've taken that off, to be honest. And we're going to fabricate something new on the back of that. So yeah, more mount. It's a shame when they built these cars they didn't think about all this kind of stuff, but I suppose they were built to end up in a scrap heap. But anyway, there we go, one mounting bracket. Might try and cut that now, however it is getting rather late and I'm conscious my neighbours want to make me move, so I might do that in the morning. So anyway, if you see it slightly lighter in here, I've done it in the morning. In a minute, if you don't, then I've carried on and done it. See you in a bit. So quick one, steering rack is all in, and what we're doing now is just making sure we're just mock fitting. So steering rack is all in, welded up, a couple of holes with the spot welds when we had it Z-barred 40 odd years ago, 2 holes in the top, so we'll clean that back up again. We're back inside, get the pedal box, which is just there, in. We're dry fitting steering column, bracket and modifying, and then we're going to strengthen this up in here. So I'll pop you back on the time lapse and let's crack on with this. Okay guys, what we're going to be doing now, pedal box time. This is this instant direct replacement, that goes up over there. We've actually strengthened the steering column. We've welded that in, but we've actually got everything realigned. We've fitted the steering rack, and we've got the column there and the Go Race inner drive column, which goes onto the steering wheel. So that lines up perfectly. There's no extra... the word I'm looking for is resistance. There's no resistance in the column at all. All that. This is my brother, by the way. He's awesome. So I had these made and engineered because obviously we need to space it 22mm off of the actual bulkhead. These brackets are going to be welded onto here, and obviously got a slightly bigger one to go up onto here. And then we're going to weld these brackets. Once all the steering column's in, we're going to offer it all up and weld it all in so it's permanent, and then we can clean up around it. That's the idea. Pop you in the stand, just get back to time lapse and weld this onto here. So they're all tacked in. We're going to have a cup of tea because everything's hot. We're going to let it cool down. We're going to then take those off, weld them all the way around, but on setting 4 on the welder, so it really does penetrate those metal spacers I've had done. Then we're going to bolt it all back up, fit it all back in the car, just over there, and weld the pedal box in for good, fingers crossed. Yeah, it's been an absolute nightmare, this has. Absolute nightmare. Never mind, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Okay, so we've fully, well, say loosely built the brake box up, so we know what's going to foul. There's those plates that we've welded. We're going to weld those. That's weld through primer. We're going to off that in the car, tack it up, then undo it all. But we obviously need all this assembly on there so we know what's what, and that way then I can adjust, because obviously the other thing as well is the accelerator pedal doesn't come with any clips or brackets, because obviously you can mount your cable as you wish. But there is the difference, 21mm, space it out. I hope my calculations are right. Otherwise, this thing's going in the bin. So there we go, 2 brackets welded on with the spacers, and then I can, or should I say tacked on. We're going to weld those on as a permanent thing now, and there's the pedal box. What an absolute direct fit. So simple, to be honest. So simple. Anyway, let's get on welding this in. Then we've got one bit of welding for the engine study mount, and we're then done. Okay guys, thank you ever so much though for watching so far. We've laid some filler down in here, and that mark there is where I've done the diagonal brace to strengthen up the steering column. Left hand drive holes are welded up for the accelerator cable and pedal box. And the reason for doing the video, in the original video I had a hard day fitting this pedal box, and I was being quite negative about it, and I didn't want to come across too harsh on them. It is a good system, but I've got to dry fit the subframe now, and as you can see where I was dragging my finger, I've got to try and work out where to get the new accelerator cable, because the actual pedal box is so much further over. The accelerator cable comes out in a different position, which is a real pain. Any ideas, guys, on top mounts? Because obviously this is something I just quickly fabricated. I have ordered the bushes to get the spacing correct. and I'm going to have to weld this on here. So if anybody's got any ideas what I could use instead of, then obviously please do hit me up and let me know. Still haven't got round to doing the oil cooler for the simple reason I still don't know if I should put it on that inner wheel arch or not. But back to the pedal box, brake comp, direct replacement. It is not, sadly. It just needs to take that direct replacement off the website and just put fabrication needed, because you are going to have to weld brackets and mounts. And they did email me pictures of what I need to weld in after I bought it, and it's a bit like, well, it's not kind of a direct replacement. I know I keep going on about it, but it's a real shame because the quality of the kit is amazing. It really is good, and I am really hoping it works, and it is going to look tidy and trick. If I were to have the opportunity to buy it again, possibly would go for something different. Maybe floor mounted, possibly. I don't know. There is a question in my mind, should I just kept with the old stuff? But I didn't, and I have modified it, and I do like the cleaner look underneath the bonnet and the engine bay here. But yeah, as I say, it's a good quality kit. It's just, it is taking a long time to fit into the car. And I want to say a massive thanks to my brother as well for helping me obviously do some welding and stuff. He's been an absolute legend throughout this process. But guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit that like. Please hit that subscribe. I do appreciate it. Like I say, it is a slow burn, and I am taking my time. I want to get it right. Yeah, I don't want to make mistakes really, so I have to go back and rectify it, because every time I weld, I've got to reprime and re-clean. But guys, thanks for watching, and guess what? We'll see you soon.